While most car companies develop car models that have the broadest appeal, some manufacturers instead develop the strangest and wackiest vehicles possible. The limos in today's video have been stretched to the max, providing enough space for many amenities and features you usually wouldn't find in a car. So for today's video, I'm going to count down 15 of the most unbelievably long limos. Number 15. The Boeing 727 Limo. Normally, when you think of a customized stretch limo, you'd expect the vehicle in question to have been a car or van of some sort. But this elongated ride is something completely different. Believed to have been built at some time in 2004, this is a converted Boeing 727 aircraft that had its wings and tail removed and was installed on top of a Mercedes-Benz bus. It makes complete sense, kinda, because the fuselage of an aircraft is basically one long passenger cabin, and once it was put onto wheels like this, it was easy to get it classified as being road legal. The limo has a capacity of around 40 people, and the cockpits remain largely unchanged except for the addition of a steering wheel. It's around 53 feet or 16 meters long, and amazingly still uses the original turbo diesel engine. Very little is known about where the fuselage was acquired from, though, and the customization work is thought to have been done at a shop in Guadalajara, Mexico, before being sold to a company in the US for a reported $275,000. It does, as you'd expect, have virtually every feature in the interior like other limos, as well as a whole lot more, including a fireplace, dance floor, bathrooms, and even a separate bedroom with a heart-shaped bed. If you're partying on board, you're also able to make use of the strobe lights, the fog machine, and mirrors across the entire ceiling, AC units to keep it cool, and so-called aerodynamic seating. Perhaps the most frightening thing, though, is that the vehicle has a top speed of 124 miles an hour or 200 kph, meaning you'll be able to cover quite some distance in the 3-hour rental you get for $1,000, or if you want it on a more permanent basis, a fee of $100,000 per month, or $1 million to buy it outright. Number 14. The Maserati Ghibli Limo. Limo rentals are big business around the world because of the never-ending supply of people wanting to celebrate events. But for the companies that have the vehicles available to hire, it's important to stay out above the rest and make sure you have options that no one else can provide. That's the ethos that Jay Glick from New Jersey abides by, and he has one of the craziest limo collections in the world. In 2020, however, he revealed what's possibly the most unique, unusual of all, a stretched Maserati Ghibli. Needing to replace a previous limo that was no longer fit for purpose, he spent $75,000 on the original car, which he imported from Italy, and then spent a further $100,000 on converting it. It was stretched 135 inches or 3.4 meters long, and apparently is still very easy to drive and surprisingly fast. In fact, the owner claims he can keep up with his friend's Ferrari on the test track while driving this thing. And while this may be somewhat of an exaggeration, there's no doubt that it's a comfortable way to travel. The rear cabin has space for 8 passengers on custom red leather seating and also has everything else you'd expect from a limo: TV screens, a bar, accent lighting, and several oversized Maserati logos. Regularly seen on the streets around New Jersey, the Maserati Ghibli Limo is truly one of a kind, with no others believed to have been converted in a similar way anywhere else in the world. It's sure gonna turn heads wherever it goes, and while it may be over the top on the inside, Glick claims it still retains its elegant, sporty, and modern feel on the exterior, although maybe not everyone will agree. Number 13. The Beast. The Beast is an absolutely crazy limo that acts as the president's official transport, both domestically and when they're traveling abroad. Weighing 20,000 pounds or 9,100 kilograms, it certainly lives up to the name. And while it isn't the longest limo in the world, it is the longest vehicle that's armored and outfitted to such an extraordinary level. Built by a team of skilled engineers and experts, the full specs of the Beast are shrouded in secrecy, but some information has been disclosed to the public. Quite simply, it's a fortress on wheels. Its bodywork is composed of armor plating that can withstand direct attacks and protect occupants from explosives, bullets, and other potential threats. And it's so comprehensive that the doors are said to weigh more than that of a Boeing 747 aircraft door. The windows are made of ballistic glass, designed to be thick enough to withstand even sustained gunfire, and the car is also equipped with state-of-the-art communication systems to maintain a constant contact with the outside world, including secure lines of communication to the White House and the Secret Service. The interior of the Beast is about as luxurious as you can get, with spacious seating for the president and several passengers and stylish leather trim, of course. Despite its armored design, the car's suspension system ensures a smooth and comfortable ride, even on rough terrain, and the cabin's equipped with advanced climate control systems to ensure the occupants' comfort in any weather. Security measures within the beast are as advanced as have ever been fitted to a vehicle, with a range of defense mechanisms to deter potential attacks such as night vision cameras, tear gas cannons, and even an independent oxygen supply to counteract any chemical attacks. The tires are even reinforced with run-flat technology, allowing the car to drive even if punctured. The Beast can also function as a rolling command center with an array of sophisticated technology like advanced satellite communications, GPS tracking system, and a secure line of comms to the Pentagon and other national security agencies. The vehicle is also equipped with medical supplies, including a fully stocked emergency medical kit and backup blood supplies to ensure the president's well-being in case of emergency. It is an incredible sight to see this thing driving through the streets, flanked by an armed escort and a full motorcade. It acts as a symbol of the country's strength and importance wherever it goes. Of all the limos around the world, this is undoubtedly one of the most feature-packed and powerful ones. Number 12. The F-650 Limo. The Ford F-650 Super Truck is a huge vehicle in the first place and remains the largest type of truck the company produces since it stopped making dedicated heavy trucks, so it seems fitting that the model was seen as an ideal thing to be stretched almost beyond recognition to produce one of the longest and toughest-looking limos in the world. Known as the Ford F-650 Mammoth Limousine, possibly the biggest surprise is that it's fully road legal, so it can take you straight wherever the party's at. With room inside for up to 16 people, but configurable for as many as 28, it's fitted with 10 TVs, computer game consoles, lighting rig, fog machine, and of course, a fully stocked bar. Further features include a full stargazer ceiling, aircraft lighting tubes, an 1800-watt sound system, and an intercom phone so you can let the driver know where to go next. But hey, if you hired this, why would you ever want to leave your party on wheels as you cruise through the city? All this extra weight would have added too much strain to the standard engine and parts, so to accommodate this, it's been upgraded with a 300-horsepower Caterpillar engine like the ones used on construction machinery, along with factory oversized front and rear brake discs. An advanced braking system was also installed to ensure safety, which is able to stop twice the weight of the theoretical weight capacity of the vehicle, just to be sure. It's certainly larger than life and one of the craziest limos you could ever ride in. Number 11. The KAZ Electric Limo. The trend in the automotive industry right now, in an attempt to reduce our reliance on carbon-emitting fuels, is to design vehicles that can run solely on electricity being provided by batteries. The technology has its limitations, though, and these have meant that a new generation of fully electric limos is yet to develop. But that doesn't mean attempts haven't been made. The KAZ Electric Limo currently holds the record for being the longest electric one, and surprisingly, it was first revealed to the world in 2003. Measuring 22 feet or 6.7 meters long, it took 5 years to build at a cost of almost $4 million. It has 8 independent electric motors, with each one connected to the limo's 8 wheels and able to produce 74 horsepower and 74 pound-feet of torque, which enable it to accelerate from 0 to 60 in about 7 seconds and reach a top speed of 120 miles an hour. On board, it's got 84 lithium batteries that can hold enough travel for 186 miles on a single charge. There's room on board for up to 8 passengers, and of course, with its cost and unfeasible nature, as well as its pretty looks, the KAZ was only intended as a proof of concept, and it never really went into full production. It was created by a team at a university in Tokyo, and it led to the development of several cheaper, albeit shorter models, but in some way proved the idea of an electric limo is possible. As the industry develops, it's almost certain that someone else will attempt to make one of their own, and it only seems a matter of time before the records that KAZ set more than 15 years ago will be shattered. Number 10. Ferrari 360 Limo. There's no doubt that Ferrari, the Italian supercar manufacturer, creates some of the most sought-after vehicles in the world. It's the dream of countless petrolheads to one day own one of their own. But there's one that's very different from the rest. The Ferrari 360 Modena Stretch Limo was originally built in 2003, although it was substantially upgraded in 2012. It holds the world's record for being the longest Ferrari and also the fastest limo on Earth. And you'd have to wonder why anyone would ever want to push it to its limits. Converted and built by an Australian company, it's reportedly able to accelerate from 0 to 60 in just 6 seconds and can reach a top speed of 166 miles an hour, while having enough room inside to accommodate 10 passengers. Sporting the famed Ferrari red paint job on the exterior and still featuring its original engine, there's more to this limo than just its look, with its gull-wing doors and supersized Ferrari badge. Inside, there's plenty of entertainment on offer, including a cinematic surround system, LED lighting, numerous TV screens, and a bar, of course. This was a bespoke vehicle that was created for an entertainment company, and to begin with, it was available to rent for the equivalent of $1,000 per hour, with adverts claiming it embodies the ideology of affluence and success. It was put up for sale in 2020 for $300 grand, and while this sounds like an absolute bargain, it's not entirely clear whether anyone's been tempted enough to buy it. Number 9. Sylvester Stallone's stretch Cadillac Escalade. He's known as one of the most successful action stars in recent memory, and because of that, you'd certainly expect Sly to have a garage full of incredible cars. He spent millions on his car collections over the years, but doesn't always get a chance to make the most of what he has. So in 2019, he put one of them up for sale, a stretched Cadillac Escalade. Amazingly, after spending almost $500,000 on the interior, it was just being offered for $350,000 and only had 1,000 miles on the clock. So it may not be the longest limo ever, but it's arguably by far the most technologically advanced and most comfortable in private hands. The plush white leather interior features a 43-inch Ultra HD LCD smart TV that's in the partition between the driver and the passenger cabin, a custom-tuned 7.1 surround system, and a smaller screen in the back so rear-facing passengers can still enjoy the action. There's also a military-grade Wi-Fi router that's fitted with SIM cards from multiple carriers, so it can constantly scan for the best possible connection. And you're sure to travel in the utmost of comfort in this thing, with each seat having its own inbuilt massage, of course, and thermoelectric cooling and heating for individual temperature control. Fold-out wood veneer tables and side consoles with fridges to keep the drinks cool mean that you could even host an elegant meal in this thing. And even though he had decided to sell it, you could tell from Stallone's accompanying statement that it was going to be tough for him to see it go. Number 8. The Batmobile Limo. If you think about all the custom-designed cars that have been featured in movies, then one of the ones that will stand out as being the dream of most young children has surely got to be the Batmobile from the 1989 Tim Burton Batman movie. The one shown on screen was, of course, simply a prop, but in 2012, a businessman in New York developed his very own version of it, which is known as the Bat Limo. Taking on the exact dimensions of the original, it's fitted with a V8 engine from a Corvette, and it even comes complete with gadgets and technology befitting of the Cape Crusader, such as a missile launcher, ejectable wheels, rear bat wings, and even an oil slick. It's incredibly loud, so you can hear it from streets away, which only adds to the anticipation as it turns around the corner as its full majesty is revealed. There were a few changes to the original movie design though, and instead of being made with just one seat, this car has space for a driver along with a rear cabin for 5 passengers. It's definitely designed for more comfort than functionality, with leather seats, entertainment systems, and of course a drinks cooler, and all this significantly increased the cost of developing it. Believed to be one of the most expensive limos on Earth, making your own to the same spec as this one would be expected to cost somewhere in the region of $4 to $5 million bucks. For the owner, however, this was money well spent, because no matter where he goes, he's inundated with fans waiting to see the vehicle up close for themselves and get a selfie. Number 7. The Stretched Smart Car. From the moment they were first released, smart cars weren't exactly the most popular models of vehicle on the road. Designed by Mercedes-Benz, they're a type of microcar mainly targeted at people who live in urban environments where space is at a premium and where comfort over long-distance journeys isn't as important. They did, however, use less fuel and let people navigate traffic more easily and park in tighter spaces. But there's a company that decided to undo all the good things about the smart car and create something no one asked for. Recognized by their short and stumpy appearance, it's not exactly the first model of car you'd think of when deciding on which one to stretch out, but that's what happened in 2015. This elongated smart car was built by German tuner Limousines, and at 18 feet or 5.5 meters, it's twice the vehicle's normal length. This wasn't done to be the next big thing though, and it seems to have simply been an exercise to see whether it would be possible. Known as Made for 6, it has 6 wheels and supposedly room inside for 6 people, although promotional material showed it to be rather cramped. A surprising addition were the go-wing doors in the middle to grant access to the cabin, which were likely included to get you out quickly when you reach your destination. Despite its strange appearance, it uses the same engine as was originally included in the base smart car, but modifications were made to give it the extra power it needs to move the heavier chassis. The plan was, when it was revealed at the Frankfurt Motor Show in 2015, for it to be made available to customers, but unsurprisingly, there doesn't seem to have been much interest, and it's not known if they're ever going to be able to sell a single one. Number 6. The Midnight Rider. Car manufacturers often face the question of how large or how heavy a vehicle could ever be while still being able to use public roads. And according to the Guinness Book of World Records, the current record holder is the Midnight Rider, based on an idea by Pamela and Michael Machado, who own a limo rental company in California. The idea of the Midnight Rider was to create a truly unique limo that harkened back to the days of luxurious rail travel. By taking the Pullman rail car, which was used by President Grant as their inspiration, they soon realized they needed to use authentic fabrics and fittings with no plastics, imitations, or synthetics. Classified as a tractor-trailer limousine, the finished vehicle was 70 feet or 21 meters long and weighs 25 tons. It can hold as many as 25 people at a time, and supported on 22 wheels is able to reach a top speed of 90 miles an hour or 145 kph. The interior split into 4 separate entertainment spaces, 3 lounges, and a bar, and when it's hired out, it requires a 5-person team to operate it: 2 drivers, a hostess, a bartender, and an operations specialist. Each room has its own separate sound system, and the rig is so long it also has its own interior phone system to allow people to communicate between sections. It's perhaps no surprise then, after taking more than 7 years to faithfully create this limo, the final cost is thought to have been somewhere between $5 to $10 million, which by most estimates also puts it up there as one of the most expensive limos in the world. The owners, though, remained optimistic that they'll be able to recoup any cost by renting this monstrous vehicle to customers for $1,000 an hour. With a 300-gallon fuel capacity, it can incredibly make a trip from San Diego to Chicago without needing to refuel, and anyone looking to hire it for longer periods of time can also make use of discounts at local hotels that the owners have agreements with, meaning you could, if you wanted to, use this to travel across the entire country. Number 5. The Tank Limo. No matter where you are, it'll always be a shock if you spot a tank heading toward you. Purposefully designed to be dominating vehicles in any surroundings, they're obviously mainly used on battlefields, but are increasingly popular in the events industry too. People love the chance to sit in a tank themselves, and this gave a company in the UK an idea. What if they could stretch a tank to turn it into the most unique limousine in the world? That's exactly what they did. They took 2 former British Army FV-432 APC personnel carriers that they cut apart and welded together, and added a 2-man turret from a vehicle that had been used in the Berlin Brigade. The result was a vehicle that measures 22 feet or 6.7 meters long and weighs just over 19 tons. Amazingly, it's able to reach a top speed of 35 miles an hour or 56 kph, and it's completely road legal, meaning you can have it drive into central London if you really want to turn heads. Available to hire for around $2,000 a day, which includes an experienced driver, it truly is a one-of-a-kind vehicle. Admittedly, it's not the most comfortable limo to travel in, and you, along with 9 other people, will certainly know you're in a tank. But the owners say if the price is right, it can be converted in any way that's needed. As standard, it's got a DVD player and monitors and heaters to ensure passengers are kept warm, but in theory, you could fit a hot tub in the back if you really wanted to. Number 4. The Sin City Hustler. Even in their original form, monster trucks are supersized versions of normal vehicles that can roll over and crush the competition. But the owners of the Sin City Hustler decided to create a monster truck like no one had ever seen before by turning it into a stretched limo. Starting life as a Ford Excursion SUV, it was given the supersized treatment, and now it measures 32 feet or almost 10 meters long, 12 feet or over 3.5 meters tall, and weighs more than an African elephant. With 4 huge 66 or 1.5 meter wheels, it was created to offer the road rides to thrill seekers in the desert near Las Vegas. There's enough room in the truck to comfortably fit 12 passengers, and it's powered by a 750 horsepower KAZ engine. There's nowhere that it can't reach. It's so huge that you have to enter it by using a drop-down staircase that's similar to the ones you see on a private jet, all of which simply adds to that unique experience. Unfortunately for the company, the Sin City Hustler wasn't allowed on public roads, and they weren't taking enough bookings in their location to make operating it worthwhile. It can, though, be dismantled for transport, but in the end they were forced to put it up for sale, with the hope that someone would use it as a promotional vehicle or a private toy. But with a price tag of $1 million, it was definitely as big an ask as the monster truck itself. Number 3. Ultra Custom Coach Limo. Ultra Custom Coach is a limo builder and rental company based in Riverside, California, and it seems like no job is too big for the workers there, based on the evidence of a custom limo they designed in 2005. Apparently built for an Arab sheik for when he visits the US, the bizarre-looking white limo is based on a Lincoln Town Car, but it's been extended to be almost an unbelievable 66 feet or 20 meters long. There's room in the back to accommodate as many as 36 people, all in the utmost of luxury. And to enable the vehicle to actually turn around corners, it was hinged in the middle. Said at the time to have cost $1.8 million to make it, the limo would have been left to gather dust when the sheik was out of town, so was instead leased out by a hire company for around $250 an hour. Soon after it had first been used, though, the limo faced a problem. It was being driven through a San Diego suburb called Carlsbad when it was stopped by police. After measuring it, they found it was 1 foot longer than California law allowed a vehicle in the state to be, so they immediately ordered it off the road. The design with the hinge was intended to help them get around this law, but the authorities saw things differently and stuck to their decision. This left the company and the owner with the difficult choice of having to either remodel the car so it was a little shorter or try to apply for a special permit to allow it on the road in a way it had been designed. The sheik wasn't exactly happy with how things turned out, especially as he wasn't using his own limo when the issue occurred. But it was eventually exported from America to the Middle East, where it's believed to now be solely used on a private estate. Number 2. Porsche Panamera Limo. One of the most popular types of stretch limo that are hired out by rental companies are ones that look like supercars, but have far more space inside to party than the original models. As one of the most renowned and recognizable car manufacturers in the world, Porsche is synonymous with wealth, style, and luxury, and any limo that looks like one of the company's designs is sure to be a hit. The stunning Porsche Panamera was first revealed to the world at the Auto Shanghai International Show in 2009, and while it wasn't necessarily popular with purist fans of the marquee, it had a much wider appeal that the company had hoped would allow for it to enter new markets. When they were designing it, they probably didn't expect one of these new markets to be for stretched limo for hire, but when one was taken to be customized, everyone was surprised at how well it turned out. The resulting 8-seater limo kept the same exterior feel as the original, albeit looking slightly peculiar because of how long it was, but the most noticeable difference was, of course, in the interior. Passengers were able to actually sit behind the driver with space to stretch their legs, and it was fitted with everything you'd expect, from a sound system and mood lighting to a fully stocked bar and a premium red and black leather seats, of course. There's maybe no more elegant a way for a large group of friends to arrive at a high-profile event, especially when the raised gull-wing doors open up for you to step onto the red carpet. Unsurprisingly, after the first one of these was revealed, there was such a high demand from people all over the world to ride in one themselves that several other Panameras have since been adapted in the same way. Number 1. The American Dream. If you want to see how extreme a vehicle can truly be, then you need to look no further than the American Dream, the stretch limo that, despite being built in the 1980s, still holds the record for being the longest car in the world. This incredible limo was built by J. Orberg, a legend in the car customization world, and measures over 100 feet or 30 meters long. Orberg began working on the project in the late 1980s and chose a Cadillac Eldorado as the starting point of this venture. It wasn't enough for him to just make it long, though. He wanted to include some of the craziest features a limo has ever had, and there's no doubt he was successful. The final design had 26 wheels, needed 2 engines to provide the power to drive it, and 2 separate driver's cabins, but it was the amenities that truly made it next level. The American Dream had separate rooms, including one that was decorated with small lace and candelabras, a bedroom that had its own king-size waterbed, lots of TVs, a jacuzzi with a diving board, and a putting green, and perhaps most impressively of all, its very own helipad at the rear. As crazy as all this sounds, the limo was fully functional and was allowed to drive on public roads, although very few were actually suitable for it. It became legendary at the time and hosted countless parties where celebrities and millionaires hired it out to experience it for themselves. But after a few years, the novelty had worn off. The American Dream was so expensive to maintain that it was soon abandoned and had fallen into a terrible state of disrepair. This, for a long time, was believed to be the end of the story, but recently a company purchased the shell and underwent an extensive restoration project, and it's now been returned to its former glory. Apparently, with space on board for up to 75 people, this renovation actually increased its length by a few inches. And while the interior is still unfurnished, the group that owns it hopes it'll be able to fully customize it for a future owner, once they find someone who's willing to take it off their hands. It's a big ask, though, considering there are only a few places you can actually drive the thing, and if you were to get stuck, there'd be little chance of a tow truck being able to help you out. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you to our channel members.